Right, we're off. Silence in the studio, please. So, welcome to Putting CLIL into Practice. Today we're going to do a summary of supporting output, speaking in the CLIL classroom. But I have to say, this is just a taste of a collection of activities. There are many other types of supported speaking activities which you have to come on the course to find out about, of course. So first of all, we're going to have a look at mechanical speaking. So very simply, getting students repeating materials. And we all know that repetition is at the heart of learning new terminology. And there's a place for it. Repeating in a fun way terms with definitions. And the example I give is a question loop, which I found I got from a physics colleague using it in his physics lesson. And now I apply that to other subject areas. With a template, you can create your loops with any content input. The second area we look at on the course is interviewing, questions and answers type activities. So finding information, searching for information from somebody else in the classroom. And the example we've got here shows the solar system and characteristics of different planets. And each student has a sheet with information with something missing. They're also given the questions and the answer structures so that they can go and find information for their sheet, and also provide answers when somebody asks them as they're milling around the classroom. So they get up and they go and look for what's missing on their sheet. Interviewing, searching activities. The third one I've called spin-off talk. While essentially the learners are doing something that's not essentially a speaking focused activity, but by default they talk while they do it. And those spin-off talk activities, I think, are really a secret gem. If teachers can develop them, they create meaningful conversation and discussion in their classrooms in a way that language teachers dream about. And here we've got an example. Again, you've seen already coal as a source of creating electricity. And the students have to sort the headings and reading cards in a structure, and while they're doing that they're discussing, agreeing, disagreeing, using the terminology to get to their finished structure. They may do that in the mother tongue, and you have to decide if you think that's a good or bad thing. For me, I think creating a routine for speaking in English will eventually get them speaking in English. And in fact, you can make them feedback only in English. So working in their mother tongue may be part of that process, that journey, if you like. The next one I've got here is a presentation with language support. I've called it number 4, presentation with supported group presentation. And here the example, I've got a little clip from Argentina, from Buenos Aires. These 11, 12-year-olds are working on genetic heredity, and they're working on creating a face using their understanding of base pairs to give their empty face nose, eyes, eyebrows, hair and mouth. And then they have to name it, colour it in and present it, and that's what's happening here. Alongside the science task, the CLIL teacher can provide language support like this. And here, while the learners are working, they can be preparing each of their little expressions, their utterances, using the language support during their creation of their Frankenstein's face. The next one I've got here is again using what I've called a semi-script, so not the whole of the language, but parts of the language around a structure or an illustration of some kind. And here we've got some students in an engineering course learning about a filter press. And there are 2 stages to this. The first stage is where the students work in pairs to practice it talking through the process, the filter process. And they've been given an image, a cycle of that process. And they've been given sequencing phrases, and then jumbled up, they've got descriptors for each of those steps in that sequence. And you can see the students here talking through that in quite a mechanical, scripted way, with their semi-script alongside the language. And this leads to, again, the teacher picking out one or two, he calls them victims, to talk through the whole process at the board as an expert would. And that's essentially what we want. We want to turn our students into experts in the subject area, and we provide this language to get them there and this support to get them there. And the last example I've got, a very similar kind of activity, but at a lower level. Here we've got teenagers, secondary students in Germany, talking through the process of how acid rain is formed. And again, they're given a semi-script with the illustration. They listen, if you remember to the previous clip, they listen to the teacher giving a talk through the process, and they annotate with process verbs. Then they move on to work in pairs to talk through the process themselves. And what you can see here is, again, the teacher picks out one of the superstars to talk through the process, while a partner indicates at the board what the process is describing. As I say, there are just 6 examples there of supported talk, and there are many, many, many more. Traditional information gap activities, information transfer and talk activities. You'll have to come on the course if you want to find out more. Okay, I think that will do.